A peculiar feature both of this judgment and the great white throne judgment is that no time boundaries are found for their termination. It is not even hinted at. Does not this indicate then that they are both of indefinite duration? Of course, God knows, but the idea that these judgments are of very brief duration has about as much for support as the old-time idea that the judgment day was a 24-hour day. It is a self-evident possibility that the Bema may extend far into the millennium. Brother Wheelock says it will last at least 15 years. But what has the length of it to do with the second death? Before answering, I want to ask another question. What are we to receive or be requited for at this occasion for what of bad we have done in the body? 2 Corinthians 5. If it were only for the good we are to receive, it would be easy to explain. But it says we shall also receive for the bad. What does that mean? If you read my article on the Bema of Christ in the September-October differentiator of 1948, you should have noticed my answer to this. One thing is certain. It is not punishment. The sin and guilt problem have been settled before that time. Yet we shall receive for the bad. What else but instruction, discipline, and correction can it be? If you have a better explanation, I shall be glad to scrap mine. But don't forget that we shall receive something for the bad that we have practiced in the body. Now let us put two and two together. I have tried to show before that the second death counteracts sin and all that is of the flesh, and that thus it has always operated in the saints of God. The fact that it is not mentioned before the book of Revelation is no proof that it did not exist before. Justification, for instance, was an experienced fact in the Old Covenant time, but the doctrine of it came not till the later part of Paul's ministry. King George II could not have this designation before King George I had finished his course. Let us remember that Adamic death is a monarch, Romans 5:14, and not before he has ended his mission is his successor named as second. Then the fire that shall burn up the hay, wood, and stubble is the fire of the second death. It has been working in Paul and in every saint from the beginning of the race. It will continue to work in those at the Bema who need his service for cleansing, and it will go on until it has finished its course. As only saved ones are at the Bema, they have all experienced it in some degree before, but it has not done its complete work. You may say that they are not saved because it says that they shall be saved as through fire, but the salvation they have not attained to is not salvation from sin's condemnation, but from its power. It is the weaknesses, the infirmities, and shortcomings that the Adamic death had caused in them that they are to be freed from. It is not cleansing from sin itself or its condemnation. That part has been taken care of by the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, and they have appropriated it for themselves by faith. This is the only thing that qualifies them for appearance at this Bema. They are not to be judged. It is qualities, attitudes, and acts that are to be evaluated. Their guilt has been removed, but not their inefficiency for service. If they had not believed for salvation, they would not be there. Or are we to believe that ungodly worldlings meet there? Only if we are in the darkness of the Middle Ages can we take that. We have no excuse for confusing the Bema with the great white throne judgment where the unsaved will appear. Now I hope you will see what the length of the Bema session has to do with the second death. The fire salvation may take some time. Another problem dovetails in right here. Is perfection reached by resurrection, or will there be growth, expansion, progress, development after that? I do not think we have a direct statement covering this question, but are we overreaching if we say that the opposite looks contrary to all revelation that we have of God and his ways and his laws of life? Can we possibly think that everything will come to an abrupt stop when resurrection has been accomplished? By the way, do not the 21st and 22nd chapters of Revelation give us some light on this? Is it a static condition that we find here, or is it pulsating life, throbbing with more vigor than ever before? Now, if it is life, it must necessarily be in a state of expansion. Where development stops, death comes in, but here we are past death conditions. Shall we believe that those who died as infants will be raised as infants, or shall we believe that they have grown to manhood and womanhood during death? If they have, they sure have not been dead. And if not, will they remain as infants after the resurrection? Is it not folly to think of such a thing? Of course it is. It would be contrary to all laws of life, even here on this sin-cursed earth. How much more when there are no more any hampering forces to block development? Now, if you can admit of growth of babies after the resurrection, why not also others who have died in an undeveloped condition? Do we have anything in the scriptures that would militate against this view? If so, where and what? Until you tell me, I shall believe that there will be development and growth, which is only a normal and natural expression of life. And it will be also in those who have been resurrected with imperfections. Where do we get the idea that all will be perfect when resurrected? I have ransacked in thought, but I cannot find a single scripture evidence. True, we shall have immortality and we shall be above corruption, 1 Corinthians 15, 50 through 54. But I cannot see that all that, no matter how precious it is, excludes imperfections. Immortality excludes the possibility of dying. Incorruption excludes the possibility of degeneration. There can be no retrogression, no relapse. It guarantees that we shall not go backward and downward. But if all laws of life do not fail, it does guarantee that we must go forward and upward. Without doing this, it would be stagnation and death, but that would be contrary to the very nature of that condition. Real life cannot express itself in any other way but by progress and development. If there is no such expression, there is no life. Now, if I am right in this, it follows that there may be much at the bema that may be corrected, added, subtracted from those who are there saved, but in an undeveloped condition. The fire that they fail to yield to in the earth life, they must yield to there. Are any in the great white throne judgment saved? Some hold that there are. They say the book of life is evidence of it, and their names in the book is equal to salvation. But only those whose names were not found written in this book were cast into the lake of fire, made subject to the second death. This then would tend to repudiate what I have said in the foregoing about saved ones being subjected to that death. But I cannot see that there can be any saved ones at that judgment. Here's my reason for it. The resurrection of life occurring at the beginning of the millennium reign brought all the holy dead up to that time back to life. Those who are saved after that have Aeonian or age-lasting life. Evidently, they live through the 1,000 years and on. It does not mean they are immortal, but they are kept alive until they are immortalized. Now, if this is so, from where should the saved ones come and stand before the great white throne? Remember, it is not alive ones, but the dead that we find here. Whether you take dead in a figurative or literal sense, here it makes no difference. We have been so accustomed to associate the second death with the great white throne judgment that it is difficult to think of it operating before that court of justice. I trust, however, that the evidence given in the foregoing will help in giving material for reflection and inspire to more investigation and deeper thought on this vital and interesting subject. Where will the lake of fire, the second death, be located? We are so accustomed to see this lake as a mysterious place in the spirit world. Is that where it is located? Let us not forget that those who are made subject to this death are living human beings. At least that is the way I understand it. From Revelation 24 through 5, it seems clear enough. Here we are told about the first or former resurrection taking place at the beginning of the 1,000 years. Then in verse 6 it says, but the rest of the dead lived not again before the 1,000 years were finished. Thus we see that they are counted dead up to resurrection. From there on, they are counted alive. Now, where are they undergoing the process of the second death? Somewhere in the spirit world? It seems rather fantastic, does it not? They must be on the new earth somewhere. Now, if you eliminate the picture from Revelation 21:8, it will read thus: "The fearful and unbelieving shall have their part in the second death." This may help you to see it clearer. It is not so much the place as the condition that is in the foreground here. You may think that this contradicts verse 4 in the same chapter, where it says that there shall be no more death. We have been used to extend this to mean all over the new earth. But is there a real necessity for that scope? I cannot see it. It says, "God himself shall be with them and be their God, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death." I see no warrant in extending this any further than where God is tabernacling with his people. There shall be no more death. There shall be no more death. Their life shall reign supreme. This view is confirmed in Revelation 21:14-15. Blessed are they that wash their robes, that they may have the right to come to the tree of life, and may enter in by the gates into the city. Without are the dogs and the sorcerers, etc. Does it not seem from this that the location of the second death is in the same general realm as the holy city? Whether you conceive of this city as literal or as figurative makes in this connection no difference. The extraneous relationship is the same.